And we'll be bringing you some up-to-date info just like we did yesterday all day. So be sure to check back in with us on the half hour of every hour. Alan, big day yesterday. We had a cut in the field. We also might have crowned a co-angler champion. Go ahead and give everybody just a little bit of info on what the format is.
Day two was the big day thus far. We crowned the co-angler champion, Theo Corcoran. We'll get to him in a minute. But day two is also cut day for the pros. We started out this tournament with 46 of the top pros of the world. We're down to just 20. They're starting to have to really have a game plan today. They've got to catch enough fish to get to day three, but they've also got to manage their fish to make sure they can get to day four and win the Forrest Wood Cup.
Very correct. How about our co-angler champion yesterday, Theo Corcoran? Had an unbelievable day one. Went back and filled it in day two, no problems. He is your current co-angler champion of the Forrest Wood Cup.
You know, and it's not like this is his first time. We were talking to some of the FLW staff this morning. This young man has been fishing with us probably since about 16 years old.
Wow.
Getting the parents' permission, signing it off. And I know I've seen him for several years with this same hat. And when we get a chance to talk to him, he wears a hat to every single tournament since he started tournament fishing. This old, greasy, nasty hat. And I wouldn't say that if I haven't told him that before, but that is his good luck hat. In fact, we heard from some of our FLW staff that his family members even wore that hat during the weigh-in yesterday. So it was an emotional victory for him. $50,000 to fish out of the back of the boat. We crowned Theo Corcoran the Forrest Wood Cup co-angler champion.
That's a game changer, and it's awesome to see the progression of somebody to go, all the way from the BFL level and then come all the way up through the Forrest Wood Cup and go ahead and, take that title like that.
It's the steps that we want to see, just like the Forrest Wood Cup champion, Jacob Wheeler. You start out the BFLs, you go on the back of the boat, the BFLs, maybe move up to the boater side, fish some ever starts, come over to the co-angler side of the tour, and we hope to see young Theo Corcoran on the front side of the boat on the Walmart FLW Tour someday.
Yes, sir. Also, just a few more things that we got here. Yesterday, big story, Ray Scheid losing the fish at the end of the day. You were worried maybe is that getting his head so bad, what happens? He still is sitting in good place, fourth place right now? And I actually have a little bit of an update that he is already headed back to where he lost those frogfish yesterday.
You got to wonder what his nerves were. I mean, they had to have been strong on the water, but at weigh-in when he told everybody he should have had a 24-pound bag. Should have had a 24-pound bag on the water, but he only came in with 12. And I say only, but it's not a bad thing. He ended up with 12 pounds and 12 ounces. But our question that you and I were talking this morning, will he go right back to that spot first thing, or will he abandon it, let it rest, maybe hit it this afternoon? But again, like you said, the updates show he is back on that spot right away this morning. And I believe he's already got a keeper in the box. Some movers and shakers yesterday. Like we said, it's a big day. They've got to catch the fish to make it to day three, but not catch too many fish that they won't be able to fish on day four. And let's just talk about a few movers and shakers. Jacob Wheeler, the 2012 Forrest Wood Cup champion, kind of had a bad day one with 7 pounds and 4 ounces, but he came in yesterday with a huge upgrade of 13 pounds and 7 ounces. We'll talk about Wesley Strader, the Walmart Pro Wesley Strader, 9 pounds on 7 ounces, 10 pounds, 13 ounces on day two. We got an on-the-water update from Brett Carlson. We'll get back to the weigh-in in just a minute.
Hey, guys. We're out here on we're on Pool 5, about 5 or 6 miles south of the Red River Marina from takeoff. And yesterday we spent most of our time out on the main river, but today we've been in the backwater. We started with Larry Nixon, and we also saw Matt Airy in that same area, and Ray Scheid. We talked about Ray Scheid's late frog flurry. Well, he's actually in the same backwater area as Airy and Nixon. He just fishes the left side of it where the pads are, and Nixon and Airy fish points around timber. Well, let's back up a little bit and talk more in depth about some of the things we're seeing in terms of pattern. The one common denominator that I'm kind of slowly piecing together is that all of the top 3, 4, 5 guys, they all have somewhat reliable big fish spots. And these big fish spots for each of them, whether it's Scheid or Tharp or Nixon or Thrift, all these big fish spots have been in backwater. Not only that, they're all fishing shallow, but they all these big fish spots have access to deep water. For example, when we were on Nixon, our boat was sitting in 12 or 13 feet of water, but he was fishing probably, maybe what we thought 6 or 7. That's the same way with Thrift. He's fishing a backwater point. He puts his boat in 16 feet of water but casts up into 2. And it looks like Aries doing a similar thing. He's casting in shallow water, but that access to deep water is there. So we're not sure what the correlation there is, but it seems like these big kickers, the tournament-changing Forrest Wood Cup fish, they prefer the backwater. Now those guys were kind of off to somewhat slow starts, and one guy just outside of this backwater, by the way, is known as the White House. We'll let that cat out of the bag since we're in the top 20. It's day 3. It's called the White House. Just outside of that, we saw Mark Rose today. Now, Mark had been fishing up at the mouth of the main river in Port Lake near takeoff, but he completely changed his pattern. He thought that was done for. It was dry. So he is now cranking. He's not in the backwater. He's right outside the mouth of it, and he's shallow cranking. He says that crankbait bite is only going to get better as the water clarity improves. He's got a limit now, and we just got a report that he caught another big one. So it's not impossible to catch fish outside of these backwaters, but that seems to be the key for the big ones. And
well, I don't know how much time we're going to have.
I'll kind of try and dig more into what the importance of the access to deep water is, but that definitely seems to be a key here on day 3. Back to you, Alan and Daniel.
Hey, Brett, thank you for that update, buddy.
Good stuff.
Yes, sir. Alan, a little bit of what's going on today that I've noticed so far from the updates is that the bite seems to have slowed down just a little bit for some of our guys that were getting those quick limits yesterday. People like Adrian Avena. This guy on the first 2 days was seriously getting his limits in the first 10 to 20 minutes of the tournament hours and then having the rest of the day to work on it. This morning, seems like it might have slowed down a touch.
The 2-time Forrest Wood Cup qualifier, Adrian Avena, putting on a flurry. Days 1 and 2, he had his limit quick. We were seeing reports 10, 15, sometimes 20 keepers in the first hour. All the reports we're seeing now, it's slowed down, like you said, significantly. Really wonder if he'll be able to capitalize on the morning bite that he's been having on both days 1 and 2. We know his co-angler was even catching them. And now that the fact that there's no co-angler in his boat, he kind of has his honey hole all to himself.
And, you also heard Brett say it, but it sounds like the water clarity kind of changed a little bit overnight, so we might have got a little clearer than we were the first 2 days of the event. I promise you, little things like that can take a guy going from what he was doing, and felt very comfortable with 2 days into something else. It's a completely different ball game. It doesn't have to be, but sometimes mind games can do that to you.
Water clarity can change a lot on a river. It kind of changed the game plan. So we really look forward to seeing what these guys will do. Another thing, the cold front. We had a cold front 2 days ago come through, and typically we hear that day 2 of a cold front, it really changes the fish. It actually makes them bite a little bit better, but that's kind of contradicting the reports that we're getting, as it seems to be a little bit slower today.
That's what it sounds like to me. We already talked about a couple of our guys that were big movers, either up or down yesterday. We've got a couple more. David Fritz, 11-6 on day 1, 7-12 on day 2. He's in the cut, but...
Well, he just missed the cut, actually. Fritz is just outside of it in 23rd place. He was definitely in contention to make the top 20 ounces. His day 1 weight was 11 pounds, 6 ounces. The 1996 Forrest Wood Cup champion knew how to make it last, and that might have been one of those strategy things we were just talking about, where you have to catch enough fish to go to day 3, but not enough to lose the tournament. And it might be that case with him, as well as Typhoon Pro Spencer Sheffield.
It really does. It turns into a management issue on a multi-day tournament on this kind of format. These guys, they come out, they practice, they figure this water out, but then you have to learn how to manage those fish that you have located. And it's just, like you said, you got to have enough to make the cut. You got to have enough to get to day 4, but you don't want to burn up all your fish, for sure.
I tell you, the one angler right now, surely the guys that aren't fishing are all feeling a little down. They want to be on the water. They're competitors. But the first guy out has got to feel the worst. Like I said, Typhoon Pro. Spencer Sheffield had 12 pounds and 8 ounces on day 1. He was well inside the top 10 weight. Ended up the tournament in 21st, eliminated from the game with a 7-pound, 3-ounce bag yesterday.
With that being said, everybody that makes it to the Forrest Wood Cup, the qualifications to get to an event this level are unbelievable. The amount of competition that you fish against week in and week out to get here, is unlike anything that you'll ever fish against. So
not only is it the stress of the tournament, but it's the best fisherman in the world. And if you make a slip, a 7-pound bag on day 2 of the Forrest Wood Cup, you're not going to be fishing anymore.
I hear you, Alan. I'll tell you what, everybody, thanks for checking in with us here at 9:30. We will be back in at 10:30, and we'll give you some updates from on the water. Thank you.